All right, so man, this game, this was like the Seahawks Super Bowl this year because I think we all know, even though Pete Carroll wants to say that we're not rebuilding, and I don't think the Seahawks are really in a full rebuild mode, but the Seahawks aren't ready to really compete for a Super Bowl. I think we all know that. If the Seahawks somehow find a miracle and find themselves in the seventh seed somehow this year and make the playoffs, they're not going to go really far or whatever. So in a way, this game was our Super Bowl this year. Week 1, Monday Night Football against our former quarterback, Russell Wilson, and we pulled it out. Ended up winning by 1 point, 17-16. And listen, the game, it feels good. All right, I don't have any ill will towards Russell Wilson. I don't. I'm not a big, like I said in the short I uploaded earlier, I'm not the biggest fan of the way he left. But it still feels good to just be able to beat him because he's marching back into our stadium. The worst thing that could happen is for him to just blow us out or something on national television or beat us. So it kind of feels good because he's beaten every single other team before. So he's not like Brady where he's beaten all 32 teams. He needed to win this game to do that, and it's kind of cool that our defense stepped up and kind of stopped that. And I kind of want to talk about the defense real quick before we even talk about the offense. The defense, I think, played actually pretty well this game. Now, they weren't perfect. They weren't great. There was a lot of mistakes and stuff that were made. But the reason I still think they played pretty well is because every time the Broncos got down into the red zone, that's when our defense really kind of clenched up and we were able to hold them. We held them to 3 field goals, and then 2 of the times that the Broncos were right on the goal line, we forced fumbles. And we recovered the fumbles that we forced. So, listen, at the end of the day, the defense only allowing 16 points to a quarterback like Russell Wilson and to an offense like the Broncos, who really do have a lot of weapons and they got some good running backs and everything like that. That's job well done. And forcing 2 turnovers with that's job well done. We've also got to Wilson a few times, got to sack him, which was always fun to see. Nwosu, great job. I really liked when we brought in Nwosu through free agency, and I really liked the way he played in that Bears preseason game. And when I saw him play in the Bears preseason game, I was very excited to see him play in the regular season, and he delivered. I really liked your pass rush. There were times where we were sending 5 people that we got to Wilson a lot. We got a lot of quarterback hurries and stuff out of him. But what I also liked is even when we were only sending 4 rushers at Wilson, we were also able to generate pressure. And that's kind of a new thing because, the last few years, especially when we first traded for Jamal Adams back in 2020, we weren't able to really get a lot of pressure sending only 4 people. It wasn't until we traded for Dunlap that we were able to really do that and stuff like that. So to see the defense be able to actually generate some pressure, and I like that we actually were aggressive on defense at certain aspects today. So Clint Hurt, good job with that. We are still playing a lot of kind of soft zone coverage at certain parts, especially at the end of the game when the Broncos are trying to drive downfield. I'm not the biggest fan of doing that, but at the end of the day, it ended up working in our favor. Cody Barton made a great play. And the Nathaniel Hackett on the Broncos apparently thought it was a better idea to let their kicker kick a 64-yard field goal than let Russell Wilson go for it on 4th and 5. Honestly, with the way our defense was playing, I have no idea what would have happened if the Broncos went for it on 4th and 5. The way that game was going, it could have gone either way there. Our defense could have somehow got a miraculous stop, or we would have blitzed him. We would have blitzed Wilson, and he would have found his open running back for like a check down. So at the end of the day, I'm happy that Nathaniel Hackett was dumb enough to mismanage the clock like that, let so much time run down to the point where they just ended up kicking a field goal. So let's talk about the offense now. Geno Smith started the game really, really strong. I really like the way he started. I really like the way our offense started as well. Unfortunately, the way they started, they were not able to keep that momentum up and kind of bring that to the second half. Now, a lot of that in the second half was also because they weren't really able to just get any drives kind of going. We saw in the first half of the game, they didn't punt at all. They didn't punt for the Seahawks didn't punt until I think the third quarter of this game. And a lot of that I think has to do with the fact that we kind of abandoned the running game. And I understand the running game wasn't always working to a certain extent, but at the same time, you gotta let your running back at least get to 10, 11 carries for it to really kind of have Rashad Penny kind of really find his footing. And that one really cool run that Rashad Penny ended up getting off, not the one where he fumbled and we recovered, but the other one where Abraham Lucas unfortunately held on it. After that run, we just kind of stopped running in general, and I thought that was kind of unfortunate because towards the end of the game when we get the ball back, we're having Geno throw 3 times, and yes, it was 2 completions, and then I think the third down was also, I think he ran or there was some completion on that as well. So yes, the clock kept running, but I can't. I want to know what would have happened if we at least tried to hand it off to Penny at least a couple of those times to get a few more yardage out of it. So I think the fact that we kind of misused Rashad Penny a little bit in this game, is a downfall, and I think our lack of our running game in the second half of this game is a big reason why we really didn't score any points in the second half. But ultimately, this game, it feels good to win. It definitely feels good to win. But ultimately, there's some things that the Seahawks can definitely work on, because there are a lot of penalties that were on the Broncos that kind of caused the Seahawks to get in a lot of good positions on offense. A lot of penalties on the Broncos on their offense when Wilson was doing delay of games and stuff that also helped us out. So it wasn't a perfect game on our part. It's not like we won this game like the perfect way. All right, we didn't play great football, but we played good enough, and I liked what I saw well enough from the offense in the first half of the game and the defense basically throughout the whole game. And I really liked the way the defense ended up playing in the red zone. So there's some things to build off of, and at the end of the day, like I said in my short video that I uploaded earlier as like an instant reaction, a win is a win. All right, all that really matters is that you won. So we're sitting there at 1-0. We got the Niners next week in week 2, and honestly, the Niners, it's going to be an interesting game because Trey Lance can move. We're gonna have to see how our defense is able to kind of sit there and defend Trey Lance and be able, because with a mobile quarterback like that, because I mean, if Russell was like 10 years younger in this game, he would have been running all over our defense. All right, let's just call it what it is. Russell does not move the same way he used to be able to move. But Trey Lance is young. Trey Lance can move. So we're going to have to see how our defense can handle that. But ultimately, I think next week's game against the San Francisco 49ers is winnable. All right? And that's a really good thing. We can somehow win against the Niners next week. We're sitting at 2-0 in the division. And then we're 1-0 with the division record. So there's some good things that can happen. This game really sets up our season really well. And if we win next week and go 2-0, having a 2-0 record is great for a mindset of a team. All right, that's great for your team's mental state, and ultimately, if this team somehow is able to pull off a 2-0 record at the end of next week, I think a lot of not just Seahawks fans, but a lot of like media personalities are kind of going to be sitting there thinking to themselves, how wrong were we about the Seahawks? Because I think a lot of us Seahawks fans knew. Well, you know why people are saying we're only going to win 3 or 4 games. I think a lot of us know going into the season that we're probably more like a 7 or 8 win team. But that's what always the media does. They are always like saying that. Remember like the days after the Legion of Boom left? It was like every season, like 2018, 2019, 2020. They're all like, "Oh, this is going to be the season the Seahawks suck. Oh, this is going to be the season the Seahawks suck," and they were always wrong. It's kind of like the people that keep trying to predict Tom Brady's demise, or like Max Kellerman on ESPN. He's always like, "Tom Brady's going to suck this year. Tom Brady's going to suck this year," and it never happens. So I'm happy we won this game, but there's definitely some stuff we can work on, and honestly, this, like I said, this was like our Super Bowl, and I am just very happy. It's honestly to the point where even if we were to lose the rest of the 16 games this year, just the fact that we won this game, it makes me happy as a Seahawks fan that we proved to the world that we can win without Russell Wilson. And I think to me that's the biggest thing, because when Wilson left, everybody was trying to say, well, the Seahawks can't win without him. He's the reason you guys all won. And here we are with Geno Smith versus Wilson, primetime Monday Night Football, and we're able to pull it off, so that's cool. So anyway, let me know what you guys thought about the game down in the comment section down below, and like always, go Hawks.